But I guess first of all, I mean, what's the kind of current state of the union at the moment?
Yeah, so it's a very full and exciting year. One of the best parts about leading a business is that you put in all this work and you kind of set up things months or years in the future, especially when you're dealing with consumer packaged goods and having to buy inventory. And so we've got this period that's going to happen over the next few months where 5 or 6 major things. It's almost like a game of poker where you're flipping over cards in the middle of the table and you're really excited to see what's on those cards, and that's going to happen for us. So we're going to take on domestic manufacturing this year. We're going to go live in Walmart nationwide. Our Target business is going to grow by 50 or 60%. We've got 4 or 5 major new products we're releasing. We've got big licensees like Marvel that we're going live with. There's just a ton of exciting stuff happening. And so a little bit overwhelming, a little bit overstimulating, but also pretty exciting. The last few years, we've grown by about 1.5 million units of sales every year. And last year, I think we sold maybe 6.5 million units as a company. This year, we think it's probably going to be closer to 10.5 or 11. And so we're going to grow a lot more in this year than we ever have before, which is intimidating, obviously, but it's also it's exciting, to just see how many customers we're getting to serve. And really, like you said, just it's crazy when you start something, when you're an entrepreneur and you start something. In the early days, you're just trying to figure out, how do I get anybody to care about this at all? I'm introducing the idea of our company to people, and they're like, so are you just a Yeti knockoff, or what are you? And in fact, a funny story I tell, I'm the entrepreneur in residence up at the University of Oklahoma, and they had me in 2016 when I was just getting started with the company. They had me come and teach at one of the classes. And this is before anybody, especially a student, would have known about Simple Modern. And so they had this segment at the beginning of the class that they did before I taught, which was the professor gave them a company and said, hey, this is a case study, evaluate this company, their chances in the market, whatever else. And so this group gets up before I teach, and they had been given Simple Modern. They didn't know that was my company. And they proceeded for 10 minutes to just dunk on Simple Modern, and how we had no chance. We were doomed. And, Yeti was going to chew us up and spit us out, and Hydro Flask. And so anyway, I just didn't even react, give the entire lecture. And then at the very end, I kind of revealed hey, by the way, that company is actually my company, and there's actually a couple details you didn't know and things it might change your mind. And so the students are like, okay, wait, we want to change our mind. I'm like, no, you're dead to me. But it's funny, you spend all this time trying to make people care about, and it feels like it takes 1,000 pounds of force to move things an inch. Yeah. And then you get to the place where we're at, where we have tens of millions of customers, and every day I see something where I'm like, I just wouldn't have even thought that was possible. Something that just happened last month, and my co-founder and I were joking about it. Klay Thompson, came back after a couple of years of not playing basketball, and there was all this media around it. And I guess he just decided to buy a Simple Modern Tennessee Titans water bottle, and that's what he had on the bench. So there's all this video and pictures of him holding it and smiling and all this stuff, and you're just like, okay, that's pretty crazy. We had nothing to do with that. That's just totally organic. And we have this on our internal Slack channel. We have a channel called In the Wild, which is just when you randomly see the product out and about. And in the first few months, it was just it was a big deal if you posted anything. Right. And now it's every day you see things, and sometimes these really crazy things, oh, this really, famous person or whatever had this. And so anyway, the State of the Union, I think, is good, but it's also exciting because really the company's built on this idea of how can you build a company around generosity, where you're focused not just on the shareholders and how do the shareholders get more, but how's everybody's life enriched by it. So that's the employees, that's the customers that you serve, that's the community that you're a part of. And one of our big things is that we give at least 10% of profits annually. Most of that goes to local nonprofit organizations. So this year we're going to be able to do more there than we ever had before. We've got like a giving summit that we'll do next week, actually, and we're going to have like 20 organizations come in and present, and then we'll be able to kind of allocate giving. And so as much as I get excited about selling more things and having more customers, I get even more excited about the fact that, like, hey, hopefully we're able to make a positive impact on the community that we're a part of, which is obviously Oklahoma. I've been in Oklahoma basically my entire life. And so us being a part of improving the community is a big deal to me.